One Coalition for Good Governance and Economic Justice for Africa don hold one press conference on Wednesday, February 19, 2025 to mark Governor Monday Okpebholo 100 days for office. Dem hold the conference for Edo House for Abuja. Our Tory person Omone Momoyan said the conference starts with remarks from the organizer, Prince John Mayaki, wey be former Chief Press Secretary to ex-Governor Godwin Obaseki. For im talk, Prince Mayaki congratulate Governor Okpebholo for how far e don go within im first 100 days, chook mouth on top the work wey the governor don do, both the ones wey you fit see and the ones wey you no fit see. E come also talk about how security don improve for the state, especially say the jollification season wey just pass na the most peaceful wey Edo people don get for a long time since Governor Okpebholo take over. Prince Mayaki come also talk say the governor set in cabinet within the first 3 months, unlike the former governor wey no do that thing later.
This event is organized by the Coalition for Good Governance and Economic Justice in Africa. We've been organizing programs in this manner. About 8 years ago, the coalition organized something of this nature in Lagos for Governor Godwin Obaseki, just the former governor of Edo State, whom I serve as his chief press secretary. Under the country director of Mr. Jude Gadimo, it was held in Lagos, tracking Obaseki's 100 days in office. Today, we are honored to organize another for the present governor of Edo State, who is just 100 days today in office. We want to see what he has done for the past 100 days. We have seen tangible things and intangible things that he has done. When I mean tangible things, we're talking of the Ramat Park flyover. We're talking of what you can see, projects you can see, infrastructure. When we talk of tangibles, we're talking of the road construction that is ongoing. We're talking about the security infrastructure, the vehicles. I'm not talking about dead Siennas. I'm talking about new Helios vehicles, durable, rugged vehicles that can challenge, that can stand the challenge of security. When I talk about tangible, about the present administration of Governor Monday Okpebholo, I'm talking about his schools being constructed. I'm talking about things that he has done that is impacting positively and directly on the lives of the people. I can go on and on and on and mention what he has done in terms of tangibles, infrastructures. I've mentioned the Ramat Park flyover, I've mentioned schools, I've mentioned roads, I've mentioned some tangibles, and go to intangibles. You talk about policies, you talk about programs, you talk about bills that has impacted on the lives of the people. You don't see them, but they impact on the lives of the people, both socially, both economically, and all around. They affect the lives of the people. Take, for instance, when the governor announced that every exploitative taxes in the markets and market unions have been banned. That alone has helped the market woman, even the ordinary man, economically, because the prices of food in the market crashed. Because with these unions, the prices were actually very high. And so that alone are intangibles, but you feel the impact in your pocket. Why not go to the area of security? You may not see structures being built, although vehicles are being bought, new Helios vehicles, 75 of them. You have 1,000 motorcycles being bought to assist in that regard. Like I was speaking about the tangibles, you have 100 vehicles to revive the Edo line, moribund Edo line. Those are tangibles you are seeing. And again, I go back to the intangibles. When you see the governor announcing that courtism in Edo State was not going to be allowed again, and if you are caught, your house will be demolished, where you see intangibles like announcing that kidnappers, if you are caught kidnapping, the property will be destroyed, and when you see government passing bills that say it is death penalty for any criminality, any courtism activity, you see the impact directly affecting the security of the state. People are being saved. Last year, December, people celebrated the most safest Yuletide so far in Edo State under the present government. Now, I speak of intangibles again. You have a governor who set up his cabinet in the past 3 months. He set up a cabinet that other governors for the past, the governor I worked with couldn't set up his cabinet for 9 months in office. If you do your Google search, if you do your fact checking, you will find out that Governor Obaseki couldn't set up his own cabinet within 9 months. You can fact check me before we leave. I wish somebody would tell me there that, oh, that is not correct. Fact check me. 9 months, he couldn't do that. But here is a man who has set up his cabinet last week, 2 weeks ago. You had the governor having his executive council meeting, first executive council meeting, within 3 months in office. I think that is quite applaudable and commendable.
Prince Mayaki Komoso took mouth on top how Governor Okpebholo focused on important areas like agriculture, health, education and infrastructure within the first 100 days. He talks say once they fix these areas, the state go dey on the right track to develop well. He also talks say he not support Governor Okpebholo during the election, but he change his mind after he see all the good plans where the governor get for Edo people.
When we talk about tracking Okpebholo's achievement in office, I have done a magazine. I've sent it to all of you. Go through and you will see over 100 achievements, of tangibles and intangible achievements in office. Now, I've distinguished between tangible and intangible. I have said there are policies that you may not see. They are not structures, but they are policies that directly affect the lives of the people. Go to, in terms of budget for agriculture, the governor has empowered farmers. In fact, he has approved the sum of 1.6 billion for agriculture. In fact, his budget for agriculture is about 70 billion naira. I'm sure that will be competing with states like Niger State, Nasarawa State, and other, and Yobe State, states that are ready to feed the nation. Edo is part of that league. That is in terms of going back to the farm, agriculture. The governor is very meticulous about it. When you come to the area of health, if you check the budget for health, that's about 64 billion naira again. It shows the seriousness of the governor when it comes to health. Education is another major area that the governor is focusing on. While you talk of infrastructure, it's another area. For me, my take home is this. If the governor can solve 2 things, let me say 3: security, infrastructure, and food security. I think that's all for me. You see, when you cure poverty, when you cure hunger, you've achieved a lot in the lives of the people, and the governor is in that trajectory. Just in 100 days, he's renovating 100 schools for 100 days, 100 vehicles to revive Edo line in 100 days. A lot of pass mark for the governor. In just a short time, a lot has been achieved. And I think it is worth discussing. It is worth calling our colleagues. It is worth calling the press. It is worth calling policy analysts. It's worth calling every well-meaning individuals of Edo State to say, come, let's discuss this man. Mind you, I wished him off during the campaigns. I must say this. I didn't see him as somebody who can move us forward. I didn't support the governor for the election. But when I saw the budget for agric, I'm a farmer. When I saw the budget for agric, I told myself, if this man can feed Edo people and feed the South and feed Nigeria with this budget, check the past budget. It took it from 5.6 or 5.9 billion to 70 billion. Go to AAU. AAU has a subvention of 41 million monthly. The governor has increased it to 500 million. Intangible achievement, but tangible. Intangible achievement, but very impactful. This is what drew me to say, no, I must begin to look at how to support a man who is ready to take Edo State to the next level. In fact, I want to agree with the governor that a new Edo has risen.
Fred Akpeji wey also give one presentation for the press conference come talk about the importance of internal revenue generation (IGR) and how e dey help any state or country grow. E come also talk say within the first 100 days of Governor Okpebholo for office, the state don see better revenue wey go help improve the state.
I'm going to talk about the issue of internally generated revenue in Edo State. But before I do so, a little background introduction. When Prince John Mayaki told me about this program, the first thing that came to my mind, he also alluded to it now. I said, but John, you didn't support the governor. How come you are coming to support the governor now? So he now said, well, he didn't support the governor for his own personal reasons, and that in any case, he has always been a part of the APC family, all of his career in government and all of that, but that he felt, look, in the state, we should, as much as possible, look for who is our best hand, who is our best candidate, and bring the person out and support the person to come out and all of that. Well, I took that from him and I said, I'm not just coming because you have invited me. I am coming because I have something that is burning in my heart that I would want to share in a forum like this. And that is all about what Edo State government is. What Edo State is when it comes to internally generated revenue in this country, and what I have seen in the space of 3 months that the new administration has come on board. Let me take you down memory lane. In 2009, when the second administration of President Muhammadu Buhari was taken over, the vice president, usually, the governors of the country will congregate, and then the vice president will host them, basically to share with them what the tone of the federal government is and how they can escalate it in their own respective domains and all of that. And in that fora, 2019 was about 6 years ago. In that fora, I remember the vice president saying to these governors that back in the First Republic, there were two things that grew the economy of the regions: agriculture and taxation. And that the way things were going, the federal allocations were not meeting the expectations of state government as much as they used to be. And that there was a need, a deliberate need for the state governors, for the state administrations to chart a new path as far as internally generated revenue is concerned. And I can tell you from the records, because we keep records, my company is called Alford Conferences Limited. We organize events. And one of such events that we organize is called Nigerian States IGR Awards. It's a very simple event. We simply beam the searchlight annually on the performance of the 36 states and the FCT in the area of IGR. And then we use that as the criteria to then rank the 36 states and the FCT, basically the 37 subnationals. And then we honor them in various ways. And we have held that event every year since 2020. This year, God willing, towards the ending of the year, usually in the fourth quarter, we'll be doing the 6th edition of the event. Just hosting that event every year in the last 5 years has opened our eyes to the state of the 37 subnationals of this country. You will see some states that have traditionally done excellently and are continuing to do so. You see some other states that used to do poorly that have, turned a new leaf, turned things around in their respective domains, and they are beginning to, perform well. And then you see some other states that are basically just laggards. But like I said, I want to focus on Edo State today. From 2008, that the government of Comrade Adams Oshomole came on board, Edo State has always ranked among the top 10 states in Nigeria in internally generated revenue. I am speaking from data published annually by the National Bureau of Statistics. Where does the National Bureau of Statistics get this data from? It gets it from the Joint Tax Board. As we all know, the Joint Tax Board comprises the Federal Inland Revenue Service and the Internal Revenue Service of the 37 subnationals of Nigeria. Those are the people that make up the Joint Tax Board. So their data every year, they submit it to National Bureau of Statistics, who in turn puts it together in a report format. And that report has been published every year in the last 2-3 decades now. So it is that report that we rely on. So these points and these insights that I'm sharing, they are based on those reports. They are based on facts. When you look at Edo State, I'm taking it from the time of the former governor, Adams Oshomole, because government is a continuum. It doesn't matter whether the government in place currently is on the platform of the APC or on the platform of the PDP. It is still the same government that they are going to be administering. It is still the same Edo State that they are going to be administering. So I'm taking it from there. And the records that we have, year in, year out, from that 2008, Edo State has always ranked among the top 10. That is a significant achievement. If you look at the profile of all the 36 states and the FCT, and if you beam your searchlight closer home to the 6 states of the South-South, that is even more impressive. Because you will notice at a quick glance that among the 6 states of the South-South, Edo State and Cross River State, they are the, what should I call it? Please, somebody borrow me a word. They are the wretched cousins, you know. they are the cousins that are not very endowed. In terms of the 13% derivation that goes to the states of the Niger Delta, there are 9 of those states, 6 of them in the South-South. Those are the 6 states I want to focus on. If you look at those 6 states, the real states that take the huge chunk of the 30% derivation are 4. River State, Delta State, Akwa Ibom State, and Bayelsa. Edo State, Cross River State, little or nothing. So if you beam your searchlight closer home to the South-South zone of Nigeria, and you look at how Edo State performs on the IGR front, it is kudos to the state. I am not here to praise His Excellency, Governor Monday Okpebholo, necessarily. But I'm here to say what I have observed over the years about IGR in Edo State. The state has always done excellently well. But the thing that excited me in the past few months that he has taken over the leadership of the state is in this same subject of IGR. In the last 3 months, as at the time he took office, the executive chairman of the Edo State Internal Revenue Service was on his way out. So there was a vacancy for a new executive chairman. He appointed a new executive chairman the following month in December in the person of Honorable Oladele Bankole Balogun, who has since taken over as the substantive chairman of that revenue agency. And then, what did the new chairman meet on the ground? On average, on a monthly basis, Edo State was generating 6.4 billion naira per month. But when he took over in December, and the challenge, the target that is set for themselves was that we will raise the figure from 6.4 billion to 10 billion. When I read it, I said, wow, Edo State is not doing badly, even at 6.4 billion on a monthly basis. Let me show you a little, at this point, let me show you the records of 2023. Those are the most recent records that I have. The results for 2024 are not yet available. Otherwise, I will also be sharing them. But this is it. In 2023, this is what we have. Lagos State did 815 billion in 2023 in terms of IGR. I'll just round up the figures. The second highest state was FCT that generated 211 billion. Number 3 was Rivers State with 195 billion. Number 4, Ogun State with 146 billion. Number 5, Delta State with 114 billion. Number 6, our own dear Edo State with 64 billion. The remaining states that make up the top 10 were Kaduna, Kwara, Oyo, and Akwa Ibom, in that order. Now, if Edo State is targeting 10 billion per month, work out the arithmetic in 10 months, 120 billion. This will be about 100% increase from what they did in 2023. Now, if you take a look at another data, how does Edo State rank amongst the states of the South-South zone? I've already mentioned Rivers with 193 billion. I've mentioned Delta with 114 billion. Edo State comes next in the South-South zone. While these figures might not impress you, what might probably open your eye is the fact that the typical states in Nigeria today that are at the back end of the ranking list, some of them will be doing figures like 10 billion naira for the entire year. I shared with you the figures of the top 10 states. Let me share with you the figures of the last 10 states in 2023. The bottom states in 2023. For instance, if you look at Kebbi State, they did 11 billion in 2023. If you look at a state like Taraba, they did 10 billion in 2023. Yobe did 11 billion in 2023 for the entire year. But as we are today, on February 4th, a news release was published from the Edo State Internal Revenue Service saying that the state had achieved and surpassed 10 billion naira in IGR in January. It was that news that made me to call the office of the executive chairman of Edo State Internal Revenue Service. I couldn't reach out to him directly, but I spoke to the head of corporate affairs there. And I said, tell me more about this. And then he said, these are some of the things we've put in place. We've tightened the rope. We have ensured that there are tax heads that weren't being collected before. We are in the process of beginning to officially migrate them and bring them to our tax books and all of that. And in a nutshell, the state was able to record that performance. Why is this a big deal? It's a big deal because the Nigeria that we have today, the federal allocation can't carry any state. Any state that does not put on its own thinking cap and see how it can significantly raise its IGR, that state will not survive much. And like I've told you, when you look at the South-South, the states that eat the fat when it comes to the 13% derivation are those 4 states. Edo is not among them. So for Edo State to be ranking like this is plenty of kudos. And for Edo State that within the last 3 months has turned things around in its IGR is plenty of kudos to the new administration. I am not speaking as one of his lieutenants, as one of his media aides. No, I'm speaking as an independent observer. This is what I've seen, especially an independent observer that is highly interested in this subject of IGR among the 37 subnationals of Nigeria. This is what I've seen. And as I've attended this 100 days celebration of the governor today, my heart is filled with excitement because I'm from Edo State too. So emotionally, I mean, you know the way it is when you're in Europe and then somebody is saying something credible and positive about Nigeria. You know the way you feel. That's also how I feel. I'm like, wow, my state is on the run, man. My state is on the double. My state is making important and radical changes that will take us further. and all of that. That is the reason why I've come to make this presentation today. My message to the new administration is to sustain this tempo. Whatever you set your heart to. In Nigeria today, the typical Nigerian state governor can accomplish so much in the space of four years. Because there are a lot of things that don't work in Nigeria. I've talked about IGR today as a subject of my presentation. The typical Nigerian state that puts on his thinking cap, we double his IGR in 1 year. We triple his IGR in 1 year. Because there is so much corruption in the system, there is so much inefficiencies in the system, that if only the typical state governor is bold, courageous, and determined, and has a clear head about what he wants to do, he will increase his IGR in incredible percentages. That's the message that I present to the governor and the administration of Edo State today. Stick to these plans that you have put in place in your Internal Revenue Service agency and ensure that you make it even better and better. It will only be for the benefit of the state.
Honorable Oscar Agedo, APC chairman for Ovia Northeast Local Government Area, wey tender for the event, also add in voice where he talk as a party man, said the 100 days for office as an Edona celebration of tomorrow. Said the state they move forward under Governor Okpebholo's leadership. A constituent say,
for us in Edo State, we are celebrating tomorrow. APC that our governor represents. Today we are doing 100 days in office. It is clear that we who are the core politicians, part of what we suffer after the election, when we go back to our constituents, our villages, our units, our wards, is to go back to tell them what we have done or the reason for them to vote for us again. We led the campaign for Monday Okpebholo's ambition. And today, as a chairman of a party, I will say 100 days in office is more like 4 years in office. 100 days of peace and tranquility in Edo State, 100 days of infrastructural development, 100 days of progress. The convener have mentioned so many tangible and intangible things. But today, we are happy that we have a government that have a roadmap. We have a government that truly believes that all his promises, all his electionary campaign promises, that is ready to fulfill all of that. And that is why, for me, I'm happy, I'm glad to associate with the coalition of good governance to celebrate a milestone, an achiever, not just an achiever, a silent one at that. A man who have chosen to showcase himself through projects rather than rhetorics. So it's a day that our people, we are happy. When you go to Edo State today, the program for tomorrow, the excitement in the street, because it is clear that a new Edo has risen. So I want to thank the convener, members of the press, and everyone who have come to celebrate with us that truly Edo will be known for better.
Dr. Leo Usigbe Abuja Bureau Chief of Tribune newspaper wey give vote of thanks come also congratulate Governor Okpebholo for all the positive things wey he don do within 100 days. He come also give kudos to Prince John Mayaki and the Coalition for Good Governance and Economic Justice for Africa wey organized the event.
The strides Edo State government has made, whether in governance, infrastructure, healthcare, security, or even economic empowerment, they are not just the government success, but the collective victory made possible by the dedication of people like you. So your tireless efforts remind us that meaningful change is not the work of one person or an entity alone, but as a result of collaboration, vision, shared commitment to the common good. So on behalf of the Edo State journalists in Abuja, I sincerely thank you. Thank the Coalition for Good Governance and Economic Justice in Africa for what I call a beacon of progress. So we look forward to deepening this partnership as we look out for the upliftment of our great state, Edo State.
Make una no forget say, as we see am, na so we dey talk am. We no dey take blame. From Abuja FCT, Ekata Ojisili, TMC TV News.